We are going to go into Victor Osimhen, what needs to happen this summer. We're going to take a look back on the things that have been working for Chelsea to go on a 3-game winning streak just before we play against Liverpool. We're going to delve into all of it today. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, smack a like, and let's get into it.
Is this how we're going to start every single show, with you just going absolutely mental?
Mate, it's you know what they say, if you're gonna deliver something wonderful, poetic, magical with your voice, you got to warm it up. It's like any muscle in the body. I'm sure you know all about that, mate.
Yeah. Well, I don't know too much about muscles these days, mainly about pulling them. But but what you didn't see before we started recording this was that George was doing a lot of lyrical exercises, the do-re-mis, He's a professional, and he's done this for a very long time, and you can tell.
I would make throat jokes, but then I basically just put myself in line for goodness knows how many questions. Is Georgie actually just a paid actress? Who knows at this point?
Yeah, we've all heard the accusations, mate.
Have we? Blimey. I haven't heard any of that stuff. I need to come back to the UK and sort out my public domain. But anyway, Josh, how are you feeling, mate? We have got 3 wins in a row, my friend.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here as always, my friend. Thank you very much. But yeah, I'm chuffed. Chelsea, we were laughed at, Joey and I, and maybe more Joey than myself, about some term that we like to call toxic positivity. And perhaps the fans that were questioning how positive we were now are looking a little bit silly, in that we do have a good run. We have a good sort of outlook, which we will obviously get to in the rest of this show. And now things are sort of, kind of clicking. We've got a squad back together now with limited levels of injuries. And when you look at it, that squad without all the injuries, you start going, yeah, maybe with just 2 or 3 more top class players, we've actually got a pretty good squad here. So I'm feeling happy, my friend. And I think you've turned a corner as well now. I think you're well on the positivity train yourself, aren't you?
I've separated what I feel about the football club and what I feel about what I see on the pitch. And what I see on the pitch will remain a reactionary thing, where at this stage of the season, every result matters, whether that is Conference League or Premier League. And what I'm seeing in terms of results right now, which it's a bit too late in the season to start expecting massive uptakes in entertainment from the performance. I'm not really fussed about that. I just want 3 points, 3 points, 3 points, lift the Conference League, whoopee-doo. We can have maybe 2 beers, or we'll stick to the probiotic drinks, I think, for the Conference League. It's not really worth celebrating, is it? But
it's so healthy these days. It's so boring.
Mate, it's unbelievable. I went out the other day and I had a glass and a half of red wine, and I was like, yep, that's enough now. I'm just a changed man.
I'm actually getting a bit worried about you.
It's all right. I'll come back and see Joey in the summer, and then we'll make sure that I'm okay. We'll go out.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to see you two together in a pub, to be honest with you. I think that would be carnage.
That's true. But last night, let's talk about your Gordon briefly, because people don't really care about this, do they? Let's be real.
No, your pronunciation is the most interesting part of the entire show. You've done very well there. I feel like you might have some Swedish in the family, to be honest with you.
I have a history. We won't go into it, but my pronunciation was always apparently quite good, so we'll roll with that for now.
Well. Yeah. But, I don't really give a fuck about this game.
Do you know what? I'll just say one thing. Like, as the tournament's gone on and the deeper into it Chelsea seem to go, I seem to care less and less about these matches. But I think it's teetering on, especially as you've got Tottenham basically in a final, Man United basically in a final, Arsenal doing very well in a semi-final of the Champions League. Because we have Tuesday, Wednesday, where all of this stuff is happening. By Thursday, I'm like, Chelsea, just don't embarrass me, please. Can we just get this over and done with? Just it's a means to an end, basically. But we got it done. 4-1. Nicholas Jackson, your man. I mean, we'll talk about him briefly here, because do you think that is a corner turned for Nicholas Jackson, or is it again purple patches? Because that's what we bought him based off of, wasn't it, really? So is this going to be sustainable?
Yeah. So I don't know if you've played on many 4G pitches in your time, mate. I have quite extensively. And the touch that Nicholas Jackson has done, I've done a million times on a 4G pitch, and not intentionally. Do you see what I mean? I've stuck a foot out, I've tried to nick the ball, I've kind of slipped a little bit, I've then touched the ball. Because of the surface, it's then spun backwards. And then
Yeah.
I also score some goals every now and then. Not as many as Nicholas Jackson. I have
But
to
how
say.
many do you score with your weak foot into top bins? That's
Yeah,
question.
exactly. Nicholas Jackson, right? You and I, we've had this discussion. You know where I am on the debate of this. I think this guy does have a future. I would love to see him next season alongside of Victor Osimhen, which I know you love talking about. I know I've just got you excited.
Yes,
just
it
embrace
does,
it.
mate.
By the way, on that, very quickly, I've seen a lot more rumours circling around Victor Osimhen. I've heard a lot of rumours.
Or a bad way? You're gonna hype us up here?
No,
It's
in a
Friday.
good way. In a good way. I.e., he seems like he's a good target for us. Well, look. Put it this way: we aren't going to go for the sporting guy Gyökeres, are we? I think that's Arsenal. Or I've seen Atletico Madrid now. Like, there's a lot of other teams that are in for him.
That'd be nice if he don't come to the Prem as well. That'd be perfect.
Yeah, exactly. Delap, not sure. Hearing, Man United are probably leading the race, and there are other clubs again interested in him. And then with the other target, Šeško, I don't know. Like, I've not heard a lot of stuff really about that. So now it's sort of like, who are they gonna go for? And Osimhen does seem like the one that's leading the race now. So I think there's a world in which Nicholas Jackson plays alongside an Osimhen and plays incredibly well together with him, I think. But yeah, I think this is a moment.
It's got a bit of Drogba and Anelka written on it, hasn't it? Really,
it does. Maybe
could.
we'll have to tweak the formation. Maybe we'll have to play two up front, mate. In that scenario, maybe we'll have to go back to the Carlo Ancelotti diamond.
I think football's actually going a bit that way now, where particularly if you reference the brilliance of Inter Milan the other night, like 3 at the back, Simone Inzaghi, brilliant. You've got Antonio Conte almost on the verge of potentially another title with Napoli. These days where we're all talking about, possession football's kind of killed it, I think in the last sort of couple of weeks, I feel like my happiness and faith in what football's going to do has kind of been restored a little bit. Yeah. And I kind of hope that Maresca is looking at what has happened maybe to Pep this season. And yeah, you can say it's a Rodri problem and Haaland's been injured, whatever. I do think that there is kind of this like galvanized unity in football right now, which is anti-possession based teams. And I think we've seen that this season from Chelsea. We've seen the way that Maresca's been kind of treated. You watch teams play against Liverpool or Arsenal, and they don't go low block City the way they do against Chelsea. It is a Chelsea thing that we get kind of put in these positions where it's like, well, you're going to keep passing it in that U shape and you're not going to get through us, you're not going to get around us, so good luck with that. And I'm actually going to say here, credit to Maresca, because I feel as though everything's kind of sped up a little bit. And even in that game against Gordon, there you go, pronunciation's back out there again.
I love it.
I actually think we're starting to move the ball a bit quicker. And a lot of people in my live stream comments were saying, nah, it's still boring, I'm bored. I'm like, come on, we're winning 4-0 or it's 4-1. Like, we can't constantly be complaining at 4-0 up. Do you know what I mean? And I'm getting told I'm too happy about it. The main happiness, I would say, actually, was the fact that Nottingham bloody Forest, mate, have decided at just the right moment that they want to capitulate. Deteriorate.
I'm going to call it more of a wobble. I'm going to call it a wobble rather than a capitulation at this point.
I'm telling you now, Crystal Palace, I've been watching them extensively for more GBFC, and Palace are beating them this weekend as well, you know.
Subscribe now if you aren't subscribed to more GBFC.
Link is in the description.
I'll do the plug for you.
There you go. Thank you, mate. Thank you.
I'm looking forward to that game. Do you know what's funny is I was saying all last week, I did a kickoff video the other day, and I was just saying, I don't think Brentford is a slam dunk win for Nottingham Forest. And a lot of people were questioning that take. And ultimately, Brentford, they are kind of a bogey team. Do you know what I mean? Like, we've played them extensively, and you know how poorly we've played against them in recent times. And I always thought that game would be a little bit difficult, even if it was, at Forest's ground. We are on now for a exceptionally exciting end to the season. And really what that game has enabled is that it will be a complete and utter dogfight for the race for top 5. Like, we are well and truly in for it. I mean, look, mate, there's a 0.03 chance that Arsenal don't make the Champions League. So if we're talking about this race, it's very exciting. But yeah, the beauty of it now for me, more than anything, is that it's now in our hands. If we win our games and we beat Forest on the final game of the day of the season, then we can get into top 5 and arguably potentially get into the top 4. I mean, if we beat Newcastle, it's on, isn't it? It started looking more possible than it than it has done for a while. Do you not think?
The question I have for you really is, do you think this squad and this manager, do you think they benefit from having things in their hands? Because that's I don't want to just put this in a negative spin. I'm devil's advocate in it a bit here, because earlier this season, when it was in our hands to go top of the league, that's when we kind of capitulated. And I'm going to say that word is probably more relevant to Chelsea, and the wobble can go to Nottingham Forest for now. We'll call it a capitulation come Sunday night. But I don't know if Chelsea having it in their hands is a good thing, because I think this squad in particular, even in moments during matches, we don't need any excuse to take our foot off the gas. So I feel as though it might have actually been suited to us. And I know I don't even want to try and rationalise why I wanted Forest to win last night, because that would make me look like a fool. Do you think having it in our hands just does make it a bit risky with the way that we've been this season?
I think it's less in our hands and more from a position of the pressure. The pressure would have been on regardless of the results. But what I'm saying is I don't know how well one of the youngest teams in Premier League history, and certainly one of the youngest teams that has ever, taken the pitch for Chelsea, is going to deal with the amount of pressure and the amount of expectations that they're seeing right now. We've seen how we've played in finals, and I don't want to jinx anything ahead of a Conference League final, but we've seen how tough we've made it in recent finals. And really what we're talking about now is, 4 or 5 finals. I think the second leg you can forego. So I'm calling it 5 finals, right?
Yeah.
From now until the end of the season. And I don't know how well some of those younger players are going to bed in and adapt to the pressure of those games. I'm going to play devil's advocate for my own point, and let's see what you think to this as well. You're playing Liverpool at the best possible time, in that they've been on a piss up for the last week, and of what I've seen, they have actually been on a bit of a piss up. So this is almost as good as we can get with them. The Newcastle game then is the one that for me is the most difficult game. Now, if you get a result against Liverpool and say a draw against Newcastle, then it's on. It's 100% on. Do you know what I mean? And then there's less pressure. But if you lose, which I expect us to lose against Newcastle, the boys are going to have to get up for that Man United game. A Man United game which means a lot. But again, if they're in a final, mate, Harry Maguire has saved us with his beautiful, right wing play. I don't know if you saw that. Magical player.
I did.
Maybe we should sign him.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, maybe we should sign him for the right wing.
I've seen a lot of different takes in the last 20 hours or so since that game, with certain Ronaldo haircuts. I've seen Lamine Yamal swap deals being linked to Manchester United. He actually was fantastic, and credit to United, because after that season that they've had, that's a huge win. 10 men or not, that was a big result. If we bring it back, I do believe that Newcastle game for me has always kind of been a throwaway. Don't even think if we beat Liverpool on Sunday, I don't think my mind will change there. I think Newcastle is such a hard place to go. Early kickoff as well. For me, that is the most revolting game. And I've said it on this podcast. I've said it in numerous videos. There's a little cupboard behind me that I might just go sit in on that Saturday. It's not going to happen. We're going to be live. We're going to be doing 6 things. Everything. Subscribe. Get it done. But Liverpool this weekend. You mentioned that it's the best time to play Liverpool. I think this is the best weekend out of 38 game weeks to play them, because, like you said, if you're a Liverpool player and you've just won the league, right, and you see hundreds of thousands of Liverpudlians on the streets of the city last weekend, amazing celebrations, by the way, and credit to Liverpool fans for that, because they didn't get a chance to do that when they flipping won it during COVID. Lots of people thinks it doesn't count. Whatever. I think this is the best weekend of the lot, because if it's a week after this, then they don't get that, get out of jail shit performance on Sunday card. Do you know what I mean? This Sunday, people kind of expect them to be leggy, tired, not really up for it. But it is Chelsea. So I do wonder if it actually... honestly, I'm going to call it now. I think this has got a 4-3 Chelsea win written all over it.
You're a disgrace.
I'm telling you now. I think we are going to need some... What's those pills that calm you down? We're going to need some of those on hand.
Just calms. Yeah, we'll just go for the calm. We'll go for the legal stuff.
I'm telling you now, I think this game is it's got the Man United feeling from last season for me, where we really do have something to play for. Mm-hmm. And I think Cole Palmer is breaking the duck this weekend as well. I'm just throwing the predictions out. The preview will come tomorrow on Saturday for this game. But this is the best time to play Liverpool. And like you said, right, even if we do lose that Newcastle game, I don't care if it's 4th, 5th, 3rd, whatever position we finish in, just get that job done. Mm-hmm. I think and again, we're just foreshadowing all of the other teams here, aren't we? But that Manchester United game, now that they are looking very much likely to be in a final, that also then becomes an incredibly winnable fixture.
They
So
don't give
all
a
of
fuck about the
sudden
Premier League. Yeah, they
Nah,
don't. You've seen that with
absolutely
the
not.
performances and the team sheets last couple of games. They don't. They honestly don't care. They've got nothing to play for.
But this is why at this point now, when actually things are unfolding before our eyes, it is becoming more and more favourable for Chelsea. So does it make it even more calamitous if we screw it up from here? Like,
100%.
where do we go if we don't get Champions League football from this point?
Maresca's managerial career at Chelsea is hanging by a thread from this position. If we win 3 out of the next 4 games, we get into the Champions League. I think that's relatively certain if we do get those kind of results. And Enzo Maresca, especially if he wins the Conference League, looks like a, brilliant appointment, ending the season incredibly well, much like, Mauricio Pochettino did. That will be, the end of the season will be Pochettino-esque. Maybe it wasn't for as long, but it still would be, an amazing result. But there's another scenario. You get to the Conference League final, Betis have a wonder game and they perform really well. They're an exceptional team and I expect them to be in the final. Yeah. Resurgent Anthony and all of those other, they've got a good manager and a good set of players, right? So I don't think that's a walk in the park, especially not compared to, the game we played on Thursday night. So yeah. I think Maresca and his legacy will be forever named and forever told based on the next 5 or 6 games. And that's the duality of modern football, isn't it? That's the way that managers are being judged. There 100% is a scenario in which he's under huge pressure going into the Club World Cup. And then again, if you don't perform in the Club World Cup, then maybe we have a new manager by the start of next season.
It's so classic Chelsea, isn't it? Like we've hinted at Osimhen's. I think so much depends on where we finish as to what the transfer situation looks like. Where we finish also will dictate what the managerial situation looks like. And the Club World Cup, the chances of doing well in that, I think if we don't have Champions League football for next season, I think you write that Club World Cup off. I think this squad of players, at this point in time, I feel like the last 2 games we've kind of turned it on again because we've realised that we've kind of screwed our own season. Whoever's fault that is, this isn't the podcast to talk about that today because we've got stuff to look forward to as opposed to, trying to revel in what's gone wrong and why we're not there yet. I think everything hangs on this game. Liverpool, Man United at home. They're the 2 that we can look at realistically and be like, there's great reason to win both of these games now. And I'm not saying, I know a lot of people, especially in the 6 Things comments for the game last night, people are saying, God, we play like that, we're going to get battered by Liverpool. Well, yeah, you're absolutely spot on. Because we don't really go into these Conference League games with the kind of energy that you go into the game. Even against Fulham, we went in there with a bit more. In all of the Premier League games, we put in a bit more than we do in these Conference League games because we don't have to do anything in those. But we win against Liverpool. Mate, I'm telling you now, if we beat Liverpool, we're doing it. We're getting Champions League football. So I think we've got to put everything into this Sunday. Everything. I think the players, a lot of the players particularly, I want to talk to you about Sancho and Madueke because I think Noni is quietly reminding us that as much as we might sell him in the summer, we don't know, we've heard Aston Villa links, Newcastle links, he knows Esteval's coming, he knows that Palmer's very much out of form, and if Maresca is thinking, how do I get Palmer back to his best? Easiest thing is sticking back on that right, but we don't have anyone to play in the 10 right now. So that's not happening yet. I think Noni's turning it on at the right time. And Jadon Sancho, the man is just, all of a sudden, as soon as he realises, oh shit, Chelsea might not buy me, I feel like the way that he's turned it around, including defensive work rate, I want to give credit to Sancho because I think he is night and day between what we saw from January to the beginning of April. I think he's been excellent. And I think it's just happening at the right time. I think Neto's also playing really well, great form, working really hard. What do you think it is? Do you think a lot of these wingers are looking at the fact that Quenda's been signed, Esteval coming in? Do you think they're all kind of playing for their own places or are they playing for the shop window? What do you think about all 3 of them?
I think there's so many factors going into the turnaround of performances of the wingers. I think the first point that I'll go to is I think he's playing them on different sides. So I think that Noni against Everton was on the left, wasn't he? And I think Pedro Neto was the one that started on the right. Yeah. I like the ability for wingers to, especially in the Maresca system, to hug the lines and actually be on their favoured foot and not necessarily cut inside. The reason why I think that is because it basically crowds the middle of the pitch, because you've got runners like Enzo and Cole Palmer taking in the half spaces, and even Cucurella, to be fair. And I think it all gets very congested. I think they block each other and their runs and what they want to do. So I think that was actually quite an inspired move from Enzo Maresca. And I'm actually a bit annoyed that he hasn't done that more consistently throughout the season, to be honest. So I think that's credit to Maresca, actually, more than the players per se, in that he's tweaked the tactical system. So then going back onto the players themselves, I think Noni doesn't really need motivation. I think what he's needed is a kick up the arse to say you need to be consistent in games, and you can't be, one level or one game and then raise your levels to, an 8 or 9 out of 10 the next game. We need to have more level footing, and I think he has improved that and done so in his game. Again, he's recovered from the injury and he looks very positive. The Sancho situation, I mean, I do think it's as simple as he's either playing for a move or he's either playing to stay. And I think with all of these boys, this is another factor. I think what they're learning is that they quite like Enzo Maresca. He's not a dickhead. He's not a disciplinarian. He's not, one of these managers like a Ten Hag that just doesn't, I mean, I don't want to be disingenuous to Ten Hag, but doesn't really know what he's doing in certain moments. And also, going up against the players like he did with Sancho. And I think Sancho in particular is thinking the grass is not necessarily going to be greener on whatever side he ends up on. Like, basically, if he doesn't play for Chelsea, he's either going back to Man United or he's going back to Dortmund. And yeah, Dortmund, he could play incredibly well and he could have some of his best football there. But is that the best thing for the time in his career that he's doing now? And is it the best thing really for his sort of like financial earning power, sponsorships, whatever, right? These players are thinking about all of these things, Yeah. I think Sancho has kind of realised that if he doesn't turn it on right now, we absolutely don't have to exercise the clause. And also, we aren't going to be paying the wages, regardless if we exercise the clause that he wants. And so he's got to maximise his performances to justify those things. With Pedro Neto, I think Pedro Neto is stellar, and I think he's turned it on ever since he's had to take the responsibility of the number 9 shirt. And I really just think he's just a team player and kicked on, and probably arguably the most quality out of all of them right now. Maybe Noni's got the biggest potential. But yeah, I think he'll just be in and out the starting 11, quite clearly. I think he'll be playing more often than not. So I think those are the main things. But like you say, mate, there's going to be pressure on all of these players, because we are still looking at Gittins. We've got Quenda coming in. There's still going to be a lot of competition. And I think the interest in Gittins, I think, is the clearest thing for me that Sancho might go.
So you think it might be, because I'm reading into it as well and thinking, well, Dortmund are happy with Chukwuemeka. They want to sign Chukwuemeka. If we get Sancho through the door, like, I think Gittins would be on less money than Sancho. So if you get the Chukwuemeka and Sancho wages, or the obligations to pay those wages, off of Chelsea's books, bring Gittins the other way. I don't know what it is about Jamie Gittins, but I'm just not really sold by him. Like, no. I don't really think he solves anything for Chelsea, to be honest. I don't think he is an outright improvement. And I think what you mentioned about the wingers kind of switching roles a little bit, Noni playing on the left. And I thought Noni played really well last weekend as well, and was unlucky not to score on a couple of occasions. I think if it wasn't Jordan Pickford, who he always knows is going to flip and turn up against us, I think he'd have had maybe 1 or 2 goals. He got into good positions, had good shots, good saves. So I quite like the idea of Noni potentially playing on that left a little bit more. What do you think the best idea would be for Liverpool then? Do you think it would be a Neto, Madueke, same as what we saw against Everton, or are you putting Sancho in there? Because Liverpool are not going to come and low block us, so we're gonna have an expansive game of football here. Is it try and beat them on the counter? Yeah,
I think it is that simple. I wouldn't overthink this. Like, the Everton performance proved that those boys are probably in the best positions, and they're the best 2 that should be starting. So yeah, I would play Noni on the left, I would play Neto on the right, and I would say to them, get balls into the box, have Enzo and Cucurella and obviously Nicholas Jackson in there, and let's try and, get the far post headers. Because I do think, if it's Trent, I think you can win headers over Trent. If it's Robertson, I think you can win headers over Robertson. So I think let's get some proper crosses in. And let's also pack the box with some body.
You say that, but then who's going to head it in? Because I'm not backing Jackson to bury it. I think Cucurella is going to score then. Based on this, I like what you're saying, I do. But again, it's just like, can't we just get Victor here now? for 3 games. You got Damak in for 4 games. Can't we sign Victor?
Maybe they could do a
us,
deal.
please.
Maybe they could give him some houses in Dubai and sweeten the deal. We would be better off with him. And to be honest with you, mate, maybe the way that Enzo is ending the season in his tactics is predicated the fact that we do need an Osimhen and has pushed the sporting directors to make that deal happen. Obviously, we've got an additional sporting director in John Obi Mikel, who's taken an unofficial role in signing all of these players.
It's either like he knows what he's doing too. Like, he knows that every time he speaks, and I said this on my channel this week, I'm like, if you're Osimhen, right, and you keep hearing Mikel talking like this, if he didn't want to come to Chelsea and Mikel keeps saying these things and dropping these like little nuggets of information, like every couple of weeks or so on a podcast or on an interview or on TV somewhere, I'd be saying to him, mate, can you just shut up, please? Because if he didn't want to go, if he doesn't want to go to Chelsea, right, Arsenal, Man United might be like, oh, he really wants to go to Chelsea. So then they're not going to, do you know what I mean? They'll get in touch with the agent and whatnot, but then he wants to go to Chelsea. Do you see what I mean? I feel like the whole Osimhen thing, I just want to talk about him, really. Okay.
I know you do.
I think it's just one of those written in the stars transfers. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just, I think he belongs at Chelsea. Like, I don't know if you've been following him at Galatasaray. People keep saying to me, it's only Galatasaray. It's only the Turkish league. I'm like, but, hang on. Have you not seen the goals that he scores?
Is it 29 in 33, George? Can we just get that on paper now? 29 goals in 33 games?
Oh, I don't know the exact numbers.
It is. I'm telling you, it is.
It is 29 goals. Like, what are you talking about? What are you lot on about who don't want this guy? And everyone's like, yeah, but we shouldn't be breaking the wage structure. Just come on. I think can we speak about this wage structure? Because you say that, right? And I'm obviously annoyed about this because it's inhibited us from making elite signings that would benefit the growth of the squad, elite footballers. But I do believe it's a good thing in the long run based on my financial understanding of football. But I do believe there has to be clear breakages of said rules. And an elite striker is the one kind of player that you absolutely break said structure for. I'm personally of the belief that it's actually more motivating than frustrating for younger players because people know, like, for example, like who could we use as an example here? Like Maresca, for example. He knows he's not done anything yet at Chelsea to deserve 350 grand a week. And I don't think he's stupid enough to believe he should be on that money. Even Palmer's not on that money, but I think realistically, another big season, and he might be. If you do sign an Osimhen and you give him 350 grand a week, I think you need 1 or 2 of those players in a Chelsea squad. Even if it was centre-back, and again, this is me just dreaming here, and he probably wouldn't come, but a Bastoni, for example, you give him 300 grand a week, and you're like, go on, be our Van Dijk. And instead of it being like, oh, well, he's getting paid loads, I'm off, I think it's the opposite. I think it shows that Chelsea are ambitious. I think it shows that Chelsea are willing to have that mix of having young players, building with young players, and looking to create this squad for the future, but also for the now.
No, I agree. No, I totally agree. I think ultimately what you are concerned about is, does that piss off Cole Palmer, Caicedo, Enzo, the players that are performing? Does it put them out? Does it make your negotiation position more difficult? And there's an argument to say it would. The counter to that is, if we do get Champions League football, you've got the Club World Cup that is obviously, as we said, relatively lucrative if you get through to the later rounds. Yeah. And also, what no one is talking about is we probably have to sell 10 players in the summer. And just humour me for a second and help me a little bit here, because I think we should run through them very quickly, because I think this is very important context to the Osimhen debate. You're selling Sterling, you're selling Chilwell, you're selling Broja, you're selling Disasi, you're selling João Felix, you're selling Nkunku, you're selling probably another centre-back like a Tosin who would be pure profit, maybe a Chalobah as well, so let's call that 2 more. Like that, I'm already on 8 players, and we haven't even talking about a player like a Robert Sanchez. We haven't even talked about a Vega. Like, are there any more that we're missing out here? I'm sure there are.
Probably.
Who is that?
Dewsbury Hall.
Dewsbury Hall, yeah. Dewsbury Hall could be one of them. And then you've got all of the academy boys as well, like, Humphreys.
Wesley Fofana, maybe, apparently.
Yeah, we're hearing a lot of rumours about that. I mean, we definitely need to sign 2 centre-backs if we're getting rid of all of those centre-backs, aren't we?
Yes.
What I've just mentioned there, like, not all of those are going to be good deals. Like, not all of those are going to be massive, pure profit deals. We're probably going to take a bath on some of them, whatever, right? It's still money in the bank. I've listed there 11, 12 players together, you and I. That's, I mean, I'm picking a number out of my arse, but that's at least 250 million of revenue, at least.
And
think about it.
Weekly wages of over £1 million, I think.
Way more.
And Victor Osimhen, from what he last said to me on the phone, I'm joking.
Yeah.
I'm joking.
Yeah.
He don't want that much. He doesn't want that much. Give him the money. Because all of those players that we've just aforementioned there, right? They don't have really, some of them, yes, like, for example, your Chalobahs, your Tosins, they're still playing. Realistically, in terms of Chelsea building an elite squad, that they don't have futures here. No. And for example, in Nkunku and Felix alone, the money that you would get from selling both of those and the wages, that's Osimhen. It's for me, it makes sense in simple equations. And maybe I am missing some of the finances and the whatever. But if you're going to be paying those guys accumulatively, what, 350 grand a week, 400 grand a week, why don't you just go and give that to Victor Osimhen?
Mate, we're talking about way more than that, by the way. Like you know, Tosin's on 110, 120 alone. You know, and then João Felix is easily going to be on 200. Easily. You're selling 3 or 4 players and you're getting... Yeah, you're getting 3 or 4 players and you're getting the Osimhen wages. Easy. So I think with the key thing is with the Champions League, it allows us a lot more flexibility in terms of the wages and also the amount of money that we can spend more generally on transfer fees. If we get that, mate, then I do think there will be some big signings. And really, for me, it is this simple. Get Osimhen in, get Petrovic back in goal. Don't even spend any money on the goalkeeper. Buy 2 centre-backs. I'm happy for that to be... I can never say that. I call him Dino. Hussein? Are we saying Hussein?
The big Housen, man. The big Housen.
Just Housen. Okay, right. I'm just going to call him Dino from now on because I can't say his name. And Mark Guay. Like, that would be... For me, I'd be happy with that. And then sign a young left winger, you know, that can compete. I'm happy with that. That's, by the way, we haven't even mentioned Jadon Sancho being sold. We haven't even talked about that. That's an option as well. So... Yeah, I think there's movement there, mate. I think there's possibilities. I mean, look, Dino, Mark, and Victor would probably cost... They probably cost 140, 150 mil.
Yeah, I reckon 50 million for House, 50 million for Gurhey, 50 million for Osimhen.
There you go.
150 mil. Look, mate, honestly, the more I talk about him, the more I might just get a poster on my wall behind me.
I think you need it. If I've got Mikhailo Mudryk one, you need the fucking Victor Osimhen throughout the time you talk
speaking about him, what do we do with him?
I think you say to him, stick with the club, mate. We'll look after you and welcome back to the team when you're ready to go.
Imagine a world next season where Mudryk is alleviated from his duties of sitting on the sidelines, not knowing if he's had a bad P test or not. And he comes and Mudryk's the left winger. Imagine. There's nothing I would love more than for that to be true. I don't believe it for 1 second. But I mean, I think this has been a great little concise pod today. We've got a match to look forward to on Sunday. The Liverpool game is obviously just... For me, this is the biggest game of the season. I think it's the biggest game of Enzo Maresca's managerial career. How do Chelsea get over this we don't beat the big teams this weekend? Like, is this a moment where it's like Stamford Bridge has just got to be absolutely rocking? I see this game as a final. This game is bigger than the Conference League final. This game at home to Liverpool, if you win this one... Then you go to St James's Park off the back of beating your Gordon at Stamford Bridge. You're in another final. Like, this is the momentum builder. This is the shift, the gear changer right here. This Liverpool game. Beat these lot. Guard of honour. All right. We don't want to see it. We don't like it. But it's sportsmanship. Shut up. Just get it done and then go out there and batter them. Like, I'm saying it now. 4-3 Chelsea is my prediction.
I love how you've actually doubled down and you actually think that is. I've broken out. I don't know if you remember these, mate. The Vuvuzelas. I've whipped that out, so I'm going to bring that to the game.
Have you really?
No, I haven't. I should do though. I should do.
If I start hearing a Vuvuzela at Stamford Bridge, I'm going to die.
We need the atmosphere. You're so right, mate. It's not going to be coming from anywhere near where I sit, so I'll just be sitting there enjoying the game very, very quietly. But yeah, this match means so much. I don't think it's crazy to say it's season defining, this match.
Yeah,
if we do smash Liverpool and the result is a 4-3, a last minute goal from a Cole Palmer, like the Man United game, the tears in my eyes would come back because that would be magical in so many ways. It would right the wrongs of Cole Palmer that he doesn't turn up in big games. It would mean that we go into the next set of fixtures with so much momentum. I think perhaps you're being a little too excited. I might go for. I might go.
Nil.
I might go for a 2-2 draw in this one because I think there will be goals, and I don't think it's a slam dunk that Liverpool come over and turn us over. Especially wasn't it 1-1 the first game of the season that we played?
No, they won 2-1.
2-1. Okay, right.
Yeah.
Well, we'll call that a 2-1 draw. Because of how well we played. But I think with Lavia reprising his role in the middle of midfield, with Caicedo, taking that inverted fullback role, which he plays so incredibly well and is such an immense player, we do have a team now that can, go to Stamford Bridge and really take it to Liverpool and look like a half decent team. What will be interesting, and please educate me if you know the answer to this, is Robert Sanchez going to be fit and available for this match?
I believe yes. I don't think he went to. I think it was pain, but not an injury. I might be wrong, so don't quote me on this. But I believe that was the case. So for that reason, if he might as well just stay at home. Do you know what I mean? So I do think he'll be ready. But Jorgensen, I didn't think did too bad on Thursday night. But I mean, still, it's one of those where when I think about the goalkeeper, I'm just like, there's the goalie. Move on. We know they're not good enough. Please deliver. Okay, good, you delivered. Well done. I mean, if it's the goalkeeper in one of these games that is the sticking point now, oh my word, I can't.
Can you give me, before we go, because I'm really interested to know what you think about this, can you give me a 30-second rundown of where each goalkeeper that is currently contracted to Chelsea will be at the start of next season?
Okay, I believe Philip Jorgensen will be at Strasbourg. Petrovic will be Chelsea's number 1. Sanchez will be Chelsea's number 2. Mike Penders will probably still be where he is now in Belgium somewhere, playing at a good club for another season.
I think
Genk. Yep. And who else we got? Ted Kurd will be creating puddings for everybody in the club.
Playing for #United, won't he? He plays for #United. Well, used to.
Yep.
Bettinelli's still going to be there for vibes.
Oh, Bettinelli's going to be third choice. Done. There you go, mate. All of the goalkeepers have got their roles. Sign a few more, I say, just in case any of them get injured. We need 6 or 7, 8 or 9.
Yeah, I agree. You can never have too many goalkeepers. I think that's the motto of Chelsea. I'll give my riposte to that. I reckon that Sanchez will be no longer playing for Chelsea. I reckon he'll be playing in Turkey. There you go. Turkey. I think Sanchez will be signing for Beşiktaşehir. That would be my prediction. So call that now. Jorgensen will be the number 2. Petrovic will be the number 1. Penders will be the number 1 goalkeeper for Strasbourg.
Ooh.
And there may very well, if that all goes to shit, then there may very well be a bid that goes in for a big goalkeeper. Can I tell you, my number 1 goalkeeper that I would love to see, that is never going to happen, is Jan Sommer. We saw him in a pre-season friendly at Stamford Bridge. My God, that guy's a good goalkeeper. Why didn't we sign him when he was leaving Bayern? Was it Bayern that he left?
And that was when he was early 30s too, and he's now, 36 years old? Still,
is he that old? He looks like he's done well.
He is. It's the Swiss genes, mate. He's done very well. It's all that cheese that he had, melted cheese when he was a youngster. And a nice bit of French bread on a Sunday. Yeah, I'd sign him and Neuer and Ter Stegen, I think, just so that we're safe.
Yeah. To be honest with you, we probably need one more.
David De Gea can come. That's it. Anyway, we're waffling now. So if you enjoyed this episode of the 3 More Points podcast,